We are divided by design, and you're. We are divided by design, and you're watching ROCKFLESH.com.
Bloodstock Festival 2024, ROCKFLESH.com. Maybe it should be ROCKFLESH.com TV, but that sounds, you know, a bit long. Who knows? Who knows? We'll talk to Johan about it. We'll get it sorted. But we've got Divided by Design with us. Woo! Was it a pinch me moment this morning when you woke up and went, oh, we're playing Bloodstock?
Oh, we've been stressing about it all weekend.
Yeah, I think it was like wake up at like 6 AM this morning and just
we're like, we should check all the gear to see if we got it all.
Yeah.
First did we bring the guitars?
So you got all the gear with you, haven't you? Because there's been a couple of bands who
we now know for sure. We now know for sure after that third check. We've definitely got it.
we brought spare guitars.
Spare guitars. You bought your strap.
Yeah, I did bring the strap for the guitar.
We don't need to know about that.
Sorry.
That's for after the show. But yeah, so it's got to be just unbelievably exciting as well as nerve-wracking, right? Yeah. I mean, how does change it? I suppose very much with, well, hang on. Let's just explain your music to the viewers who don't know you. How would you describe your music?
It's kind of instrumental shred guitar, very Steve Vai-esque, but then there's a lot of video game influence in there as well.
Oh right,
A lot of people sort of tend to cite Animals as Leaders as like a main one. Like if it's someone if it's someone who's not hugely familiar, that's usually the first one they'll go for is Animals as Leaders, which is a pretty good comparison, I would say.
It's a good mix of all of kind of the instrumental stuff you'd know, but then also with this kind of soundtrack influence in there as well. Like we do a lot of orchestrations that
kind of soundscape, that very theatrical kind of soundscape vibe that you get from bands like The Ocean and those kind of bands as well. So oh, that's great. It's much easier you saying it than me explaining the band, but it makes total sense. But I suppose with regards to playing a set like Bloodstock, do you kind of curate the set differently for a Bloodstock crowd than say Tech Fest or Radar, that kind of thing?
We were like, what are our heavier songs? Because we kind of go all over the place. We've got some lighter songs, and we've got a good mix, but it's all kind of our more intense tracks.
We're trying to showcase kind of a little bit of everything that we bring to the table, because that's kind of what we're about.
And we've kind of made it deliberately so that we can fit as much music as possible within that half an hour section, because a lot of the time, because it's instrumental, you kind of expect, well, just a song and then another song, but we've made it so that we have as many songs as possible to try and wow.
They're leading into one another. It's
very few gaps between.
I think one of the things that is genuinely true about you guys, that it sometimes isn't true about instrumental bands, is you do have songs. And that's so easy with Animals Leaders. Like sometimes it just feels a bit, you know, of a self-indulgence with some instrumental bands, but you can definitely feel the song structures with you guys. When you come to writing, how does that work, as it were? Because I suppose a lot of the time with bands, you might start with, say, like, you know, a chorus structure or melody, that kind of thing. How is it different?
Yeah, so with instrumental music, I find a big thing is kind of the structure of the songs, and there's a few ways you can do it. You could either kind of take the listener on a journey and don't have any repeated kind of areas, and that's one way of doing it, and that's a cool way, and you can kind of get longer format songs with those. You can also kind of take that more traditional song structure that you'd find in bands with vocals and use that to create an instrumental track. And the thing with guitar melodies is the catchy melodies you can write on that aren't necessarily ones you'd sing. So we can kind of get the,
unless you had very strange vocals.
Exactly. but there's room for more notes, but then it's still kind of a hummable tune.
Yeah.
But like if you were to put words to that, it then becomes quite difficult.
Exactly. And I guess one of the things we talk about with regards to very technical bands is that space in the sound. So, for example, when we were talking about Exist Immortal, it's kind of like there's so much intricacy going on to find a space to put the vocals in. Sometimes it's almost not needed in passages, and I guess that means that you have that complete freedom with you guys.
We've had that quite often with quite a few people that maybe don't know that sort of side of instrumental music, or just don't quite understand the instrumental music.
Yeah.
And the first thing they'll kind of say is like, "You ever thought about having a vocalist?" And it's like, well, there is nowhere for it to go. It becomes, like you said, it becomes too much. You know, it's
exactly.
The way that Liam sort of writes all of those melodies is it's you don't need it. The guitar is doing the job for it. Like I say, unless you have a very straight vocalist.
Yeah, exactly.
It also gives us, me and Tom especially, a lot more room for like when there's no vocals and the guitar kind of chills out for a bit, then bass and drums can step up and fill that gap rather than having vocals in its place. So
it keeps it interesting for you guys then as well. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a single song that we played where we're bored.
Do you always push yourselves to the limit technically in songs, or is the technicality just something that comes naturally when you're creating the journey of a song?
So in the earlier music, because you're obviously in that technical scene, you're like, well, you kind of trip over yourself. You're like, I need to make this more difficult. But now, because we've made a lot of music now, it's kind of what serves the composition, and what's right for that. And if it warrants having a really ridiculous section, then we'll put it in. But if it needs to chill out and just be really simple, then that's also it's wherever the kind of the composition goes.
It's a case of now having the experience, the toolbox to know what best fits the need of the song at that point. One of the questions we often ask is if you were to add a person to the band, who would it be and what would they do? And it can be anyone doing anything, but I think it's really an interesting one for you guys, because a lot of the time people are like, oh, I'll add another guitarist, or I'll do that, or a caterer. We had once, but so I wonder what you would like to add.
We did talk when. So I only joined about a year and a half ago. Before that, it was just these guys. And at the time, you were considering trying to find a second guitarist to do some rhythm parts that feature on some of the recordings, but not necessarily live. But throughout the last year, we've kind of come to the conclusion that it's not. There's no need. Yeah, we've even took the rhythm guitar like out of the on-stage backing, so it's just the three of us that you hear with a little bit of synth. So
I think. As well though, like we've done it with our most recent album, having guest solos is a really cool thing with instrumental music, and there's so many great guitarists. Like we had Connor Kaminsky on one of our tracks. I really would like maybe a keyboard like guest solo in future stuff. That would be cool.
Well, we were toying with the idea, weren't we, of doing one of our albums, but doing it as like the full thing live, but because there's quite a lot of orchestration, there's quite a lot of keyboards, synths and everything that we've done, trying to say, well, could we get a keyboard player to come and do all of that, so there's someone actually doing it, getting a quartet to do any of the string stuff, kind of just go mad, mad with it. But like you said, keyboard player would be an interesting thing.
It's kind of like if money was no object and you could put on a massive stage show, kind of like Tesseract with a, the choir noir kind of thing. I'm guessing that's what, you'd have like a full orchestra and all that kind of thing. Like everyone's always like, I want the fireworks and the rockets and flames and stuff. He's like, no, I want a full orchestra.
Well, I think with us, it's really about the music, and especially now it's a very composed, and it's to create a piece of music rather than a kind of to show off with your technicality. So like having a platform to showcase all of the music within the songs, it would be really cool, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, if there was a biopic of the band, who would play each of you in that film? And I do want this time each of you to answer for other people rather than yourselves, because it's more fun that way.
Ryan Gosling.
There we go. That's a nice starter. Yeah, sometimes we don't start so nice.
It's a bit of a weird one, but I'd want Lars Ulrich.
I was just thinking.
Not an actor, but
pretty good fit still play him. I'm sure he'd do it. You know. I mean?
I've been told to do a good impression of. So.
We'd have to get Jason Momoa to play you.
Oh yes! Oh my goodness!
God, so
He plays bass, doesn't he?
We've seen true band harmony here. There's no divides here.
What about another curveball for me, Jack Black?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have some Kevin Harts yesterday. You know, just like they went full like comedy action movie. So yeah, The Rock, Jason Momoa. You know, brilliant stuff. Okay, if you as a band were a drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, what drink would best represent you and why?
Do you want to answer that?
Well, I'm just going to say Guinness, but that's me. That's me being biased.
So I just want a Guinness.
I just want a Guinness.
Direct into your brain where you're thinking at this moment.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But you say that, you know, it's like a full meal. You feel full when you've had one. You feel satisfied. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good comparison.
See, plenty of complexity, even though people don't always.
Sometimes you just gotta let it sit.
See? Exactly. Sometimes you just gotta let it sit
for a bit.
Well, let it cook. We wouldn't want too much of you. Is that what you're saying as well?
Very Moorish, yeah. Very Moorish.
So, what can we expect from you guys across the next 12 months?
Well, so recently we filmed some live recordings of some tracks, because we really wanted to showcase kind of how we sometimes improvise in songs. Yeah, so there's a bit of improvisation in those. Live takes.
Yeah, recorded live, videoed live. So they'll be coming
only
out
available
soon.
in IMAX though.
Only available in IMAX, yeah. So they'll be coming out hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year.
Oh
yeah,
hopefully,
definitely.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah. Don't put it on record, but
and slowly working on new music. It's a slow process.
Album number 5.
Live performances.
We've got a headline show coming up in October.
We were also kind of toying with the idea of because next year's the 5th anniversary of it's our first album. It's our first album. Of our first album, Stages to Osiris. Well, we've got so much now. So it's the 5th anniversary of our first album, Stages to Osiris, and we've been toying with the idea for a while of doing a full re-recording of it. Because there's quite a few things in that. It's a great sort of product of its time, but there's things we're not happy with because we recorded it all over lockdown, so it was literally like sending over email to each other, so it was not quite the same as doing it in the same room with each other.
Revolve as well, you know, so revisiting that.
We were pretty fresh when we made that, and we were actually playing one of those tracks from that album today. And we still really like that material, but because of the limitations of the time, we kind of don't feel like it represented what we were, the vision of what we were going, because it was quite an ambitious album. It was a concept album, everything linked together, and I think if we reapproached it, maybe change some stuff, maybe get some guest stuff on it, I don't know, we could make it something special, but also not taking away from that original version of it.
That's a snapshot of that time. Exactly. Definitely. It's a good way of showing the evolution of kind of like re-recording. Brilliant. Well, thank you for spending time with us. Hopefully the nerves will subside to the perfect level for having that perfect show. And we'll be there. Review, photos from your set, photos from everyone's sets, and lots more interviews. But thank you very much. We've been ROCKFLESH.com, and we'll see you soon.